Well, I took my inspiration from two homeless men, one of whom has died
Mm.
alone in a car that um, was not working. He was living in this car that didn't go anywhere. But the other one, I'm not sure where he is now because, but initially when I talked with him, he was really my motivation behind it because I saw in him someone who really wanted to do something and was not capable of changing some things. He had a basic high school education, and he was a truck driver. He had a CDL, and he had a home actually, but his home burned down. And when it burned down, he didn't have insurance, but he said to himself, I can live on the street and just keep working as a truck driver, and I'll be able to get that back, get a home again. And so he started just roughing it, you know. He had a bicycle and he had a sleeping bag and he was tough. But what happened was the next time he went to apply to get his CDL renewed, they wouldn't renew it because sleeping on the ground, his blood pressure had started to go up and he couldn't get the blood pressure to come down. Even though he worked every day, he wasn't doing the kind of work that he was trained for, but he would go to the job express every day and they'd send him out to ring bells or go to a construction site or do something that wherever he could get to on his bicycle. And he was on our task force. He was one of the stakeholders because he didn't have some of the mental health issues that some do. He was really a hard worker. He was committed. I thought if there's anybody that could succeed, be in a tiny home and then transition into a normal home, it would be him. Um, he's left the community. I'm not sure where he is. I think what happened was he turned 65. And when he did that, he started to collect a little bit of a Social Security check. He said, I can retire now. So he went south. But he was always kind of the one that I would look for him and say, how you doing? And let's have some coffee and let's talk about how things are going. He was one that I wanted to be first on the list to get into one of the tiny houses because I thought he will succeed.
Mm.
But if you want another story, some of the other stories are more, it's people learning to resolve conflict. This little group of houses now are in community. And recently they told me a story of a new person who moved into the tiny house, and all the other residents had gotten a card, signed it, and welcomed her. And one of them brought a little plant. And so she put that in her window. And later that weekend, they had a barbecue for her because in the community that they've built, there's a barbecue and there's some picnic tables out there, and you can put curtains in your little house or you can put plants. One person is hanging Christmas lights for the first time ever.
Mm.
She's never had a home where she could put Christmas lights. They can have a pet. But it's learning how to say I'm sorry when they have a conflict, something that a lot of them have never done before, or learning how to live together and resolve the conflicts that they have between themselves, things that would normally have maybe set them on a tear before and maybe even cause them to be evicted. These are things that they're safe and they're learning to deal with some of these things. Those are all beautiful stories for me, is that they're returning to um, community and returning to being involved with other people. They're not isolating, they're not hiding, they are not ashamed